What is it, pal?
Nothing, bub.
Okay, then, chief.
What did you say to me, Captain?
Nothing.
How the hell are you?
I have a renewed 72-hour creeps.
How? It's been one full week since we had an episode.
It's not. Because our child, once again, was like, hey, Mom, can you identify this bug before I take it outside? I'm like,
yeah.
All right. Let's see this. Oh, that's a tick, buddy. Paper towel and hammer, stat.
But it was just crawling on him, not
right.
It wasn't latched on.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. I think it's because we're backed up
to the woods.
Against the woods, right? And that we know that there are deer and stuff over there in the woods, and so there's a lot of ticks and stuff.
They won't go away.
Yeah. Well, we just keep on using the spray and just be vigilant.
I am. I was like, after you take the dogs outside, you have to go in, do a thorough body check.
Yeah. Or he could just spray the stuff on his feet and his arms like he's supposed to.
Yeah. Well, I did that. Yeah.
Oh, you did it for him?
Yeah,
he doesn't do it. He doesn't do it for you.
And then I sprayed the yard again.
Yeah.
But I've got the skin crawlies.
Well, I've got some heavy and then happy news.
Okay.
First, the heavy news. Last night, I found out that somebody that I'd considered a friend for quite a long time is completely unwilling to listen when they've done something borderline racist.
It's not me, is it? Oh, okay, good.
No.
It's not me.
And instead, they doubled down, dug their heels in.
Ouch.
I like to describe it as they climbed up onto their white privilege podium.
Oh, no.
Flashed their white fragility and then whipped it around while giggling.
Why?
They just
it
went.
was just
they
real
just
bad.
Went, yeah,
they just made a complete ass.
Well, they decided to stream that prison game that I've been rallying against online. Anybody who's follows me on BGG or Twitter knows. Mm-hmm. There's a company making a game about being the best warden and being a prison architect, right? And making the best prison. And it's all light-hearted, cartoony visuals with really serious tone and subject. The problem is that the industrial prison complex isn't funny. It isn't entertaining.
Right.
It ruins lives, right?
Yeah.
It's disproportionately affects Black and brown lives. And it's just a new way to oppress and enslave minority groups, underrepresented groups in this country. And it's just disgusting that somebody would take a theme of that seriousness, make it into a joke, and then apply it to an abstract set of mechanisms that absolutely by no means needed the prison theme to work.
Right.
Could be anything. It could have been theme park. It's the same damned thing, right?
Yeah.
So it just really pissed me off that when I saw that available. Turns out it's based off of a video game IP from a while back. Doesn't make it better.
No, but it makes it worse that people are still pushing that whole gross.
Yeah, it's a really
theme.
disgusting theme, and it doesn't deserve to be made into a game. It doesn't deserve to exist. It has no right to exist. It doesn't bring any value to the discussion around incarceration and whether it's good, bad, or evil. It doesn't do anything except for mock and create a feeling of second-class citizenry to the people affected directly and indirectly by incarceration in this country. And it's really horrible and awful. So this guy decided to stream it. And I went into the Twitch stream and I said, I'm really disappointed you're streaming this game. And then I put in my little standard blurb about why the theme is bad.
And you've known him for a long time?
I've known him for, I've known him almost 10 years. I mean, we weren't close or anything. We've gamed together a few times. We've, traded board games back and forth. But it was just so eye-opening to see somebody who I thought was a good person go so far out of his way to purposefully not confront his own internalized racism, right? Just fucking shut up for 1 second, listen, think about how your words are harming and affecting people.
Yeah.
But he doesn't feel the need to do that. So he threatened to ban me, said that he would ban me immediately, but he's only giving me one pass because we know each other. And then, some other people were trolling in the chat. as well. And so at the end, when they finished up and scored, and then he banned some more people, and then it became this big thing, and then it got even worse. Like he said things like, "You don't want to go to prison, don't do bad things." It's so tone deaf, right? He said, at one point he said, "I've played games with prostitution, doesn't mean I accept or condone prostitution." Dude, sex work is work. I mean, you could not run into a problematic war zone any faster.
Yeah.
It just really was a bummer. It really disappointed and bummed me out. I ended up just blocking him on everything and unfriending him. I just can't, I can't be his person that tries to convince him that he's wrong, because he's clearly has no remorse, no want or desire. You know, several times he said it's just a game. Games are for escapism. Games are for fun. And yeah, I mostly agree with that, but there are certain themes that are just wrong and off limits, right?
Yeah.
So that's the bummer part. I found that out recently.
Oh,
then I found out that somebody else that I've known for more than a decade really loves my website.
Oh.
Which it made my fucking day. Like, somebody else I've known for a long time tweeted, "Hey, do you have a website? I want to see what everybody's up to." And I said, "Yes, leahu.com." And he goes, "Oh, I never forget yours, amigo." And I'm like, "Oh, hug." And then the other guy comes in and goes, "I love your website so much." And I said, "Mine?" Because it's just like, really? I don't hear that a lot, right? Look, I know that there are people out there that like Leahu and that visit it and think it's cool, right?
But they're not saying it.
But
right?
they don't gush about it all the time. So when somebody comes out and says, "Oh, I love it," I just get like verklempt, because I put a lot of effort and personality, and
it's part of you.
it is part of me,
this
and it
point.
has been for 20 years now.
Yeah.
But I put a lot of craft into it, right? That's where I put all of my frustrations from my day job. Is I go, "Well, I can't do this at my day job. I'm going to fucking just do it on my website." Right?
Yeah.
And so he said, "Absolutely. What, a decade now? I love visiting it." I'm paraphrasing now, but he says, "It's always so beautiful, personal, and vulnerable."
Aww.
And I said, "Thank you so much. This is making my eyes leak. I'm going to go take care of that. Thank you."
Your eyes are leaking.
Yeah, because it made me like, it really did. Everybody knows who listens to this that I'm very emotional, but it made me like just instantly tear up, because it's like, oh, somebody noticed. Somebody noticed all of the effort I put in.
Yeah.
They don't just go, "Oh, it's just another stupid website with a septopus," right? They're like, "Oh, wow. Oh, ooh, oh." And they're finding all of the little
What
things.
other website has a septopus? Come on.
None, but I think there's one or two out there with octopi.
Okay, well,
I almost said octopuses, but that's not. Well, no, that's
No, that
actually
is.
okay still, right?
yeah.
It just doesn't sound as good.
Nah.
I like octopi.
Yeah.
Septopi. And the septopus was an accident. I just was trying to draw an octopus, and I only put 7 legs.
I think our kids pointed it out to you.
No, Josh Miller did. I showed Josh Miller, and I was like, "Hey," this was when I was still at Paramore. And I go, "Hey, check this out." And he's all, "Oh, that's really cool. What happened to its 8th leg?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, just got in a fight."
Yeah, because they'll eject one of their legs or something, right?
Yeah. So I'm just like,
And they can.
I just ran with it.
Yeah.
And so now he always has 7 legs.
It's just purposeful now.
Yeah. And and because he got in that fight, I had him find a skull on the ocean floor. There's a whole lore. I should probably write his backstory at some point.
Yes, I was just gonna say
Yeah,
that.
that might be fun to have a backstory on the website.
Yeah.
So that was good. That
made it all better.
literally made
A little
my
bit
my
better?
week. And I know that sounds really egotistical, but I poured so much of myself into that website over the years, and sometimes some days I feel invisible. I put out stories, I put out art. Granted, I have made it so that there's no way possible to interact with any of the stuff on my website, because I don't want bad comments, and I don't want that. I don't want either direction of not getting enough likes and being like, "Oh shit," or getting so many likes that I start to inflate.
Yeah.
So I've purposely left that functionality off the website. But some days I go, "Man, nobody's looking." Right? Why am I even bothering? And then something like that happens, and I'm like, "Oh, I got to keep going for 20 years." Like, it's just one little thing gets me fired up. So
I was telling you that today that, I've been doing things this almost the same way, as being a mother and running the house and stuff. And just like just a passing comment that Liam, who's 22, will be able to just say or just drop nonchalantly, and I'm like, okay, all right, thanks, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
He's like, you're welcome. I mean, it's just normal for him, but for me, I actually try.
Well,
it's funny.
You were really good at your job, and I try to tell you all the time that how much I appreciate that and how much I appreciate you. Yeah, I think you're wonderful, and I really do appreciate you and stuff. So
thanks.
You do a great job.
You too.
All of the time. Well, I'm not. I try, but I fail a lot.
Well, I mean, that's all you can do sometimes.
Yeah, I fail a lot. But I think that's okay, because that's where you go. That's how you grow, when you fail, right? When you're outside your comfort zone or you fail, that's when you grow. But there are just some things where I have kind of a mental block of even trying. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know why. I'm generally speaking, I'm like, oh yeah, I can't get good until I try. But then there's a couple of things where I'm like, I shouldn't even. That's
okay.
I don't want to ever suck at that.
Here's a perfect example.
Yeah.
I want to be an artist so bad, and I want to do all these like little creative things.
Yeah.
And I have all these plans of doing these things, and then it'll just sit there for like the longest time, like the paint for the shelves.
Oh yeah.
It just sat there for the longest time because I was just so afraid to even start it.
Well, that's my fault, because the last time you painted something, I was like, oh, Mr. Miyagi, you got to do Mr. Miyagi. And you're like, I don't have to. And I go, that's not how you paint. And like, I was totally unreasonable about it. And so now you're like, I don't want to paint anything. If I paint this and it's not good, then he's going to say that I didn't do it like Mr. Miyagi.
And not just you, but I don't want to open that up. It feels like it's a can of worms, and I just don't want to open that at all.
But then I told you, I said, I'm not going to say a word about it. Even if it sucks real bad, I won't say anything.
Which is just not what you want to hear.
Really?
No.
You don't want me to reinforce that?
No, because no matter what, you're going to come. I just don't want you to have that feeling of, this really sucks. Hey, this looks great. I don't want that.
Well, it does look great, and I'm not.
I know I barely started.
Yeah.
But also now it's been sitting there for a couple of days because I'm afraid to keep going with it.
Are you afraid to keep going? I thought it was because you didn't want to do the bottom shelf when Fred was awake, but then she's not been going to sleep very easily.
Yeah, I have not been sleeping well or enough, and so I'm kind of all over the place right now.
I feel like I fell asleep pretty hard last night.
Yeah, you just kind of do. You just kind of like shut down. You're there 1 second, and then the next second you're not there. And I go, we're watching something intense, and I go, ooh boy, and I look over, and it's just complete shutdown. I'm like, but hey, are you coding right now? You're coding on your laptop, and you're just, are you falling asleep? Oh, well, I didn't even realize. You're coding, you're writing code on a laptop, and you fall asleep. What does that even feel like?
I don't know. It
must be amazing.
Weird. I was
because you looked so peaceful. I was like, should I not wake him up?
Is
he faking? Because I always go, hey, are you awake? Are you falling asleep? What are you doing? Because I always think you're faking because you look just so peaceful. Makes me mad.
I think there's two things at play. One, I've never really ever had a hard time falling asleep, except for in very rare occasions when I'm like anxious or scared or something. Mm-hmm. But normally, like a normal day, I just close my eyes and pretend to be asleep, and then before I know it, I'm asleep, right?
Yeah.
But also, I sleep in the chair because of my back. Uh-huh. And so that chair allows me to sleep in a position where I wake up, no back pain, right?
Whereas less congested.
And yes, I also don't get plugged up. Whereas the mattress in the bedroom, I get congested on either side that I'm sleeping on.
Yep.
And I wake up with a hurt hip and a hurt low back or upper back. Mm. And I just can't do it, right? So I sleep in the chair. So that's my bed. Uh-huh. And then I'm sitting in it last night.
And your body's blanket, like, oh, cool, we're in bed.
Nice warm blanket. I was already tired because I just had a rough day before.
Emotional roller coaster about that game thing too.
Well, that game and losing Destiny and all of those things like was building up, and so I was extra tired, like exhausted. Mm. But I was just sitting in the chair, my bed, and I was coding, and I don't know what happened. I just you said, "Hey, are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I should go plug this in." I don't know how.
It's just fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I've never been a good sleeper. Not ever. Not once do I remember like
But here's the thing.
laying down and closing my eyes and then waking up and it's morning time. That's never been at all.
Well, I think the reason you can't
my
sleep
experience
through the night is because you are so worried about the kids. And so the smallest noise or the smallest like thought.
Even before I had kids though. It's always been like, I can maybe...
You're really good at sleeping in the middle of the day.
Well, I can maybe have like a little cat nap.
No, but you fall asleep easier in the middle of the day than you do at night.
Also, ever since I was a kid, I've been afraid of the dark. And I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to admit it.
No, you shouldn't be. I mean, that's a valid fear. You can't see what's going on.
They wouldn't let me have a nightlight, and it was always like shame on me and stuff because
I think
it would be very
sleeping.
scary. Because one time when I was little, I swear on my life, I saw a ghost. I swear.
Yeah.
I was.
But did you though?
I swear. I was just laying there and I had my eyes open and I was trying to get comfortable and it was shortly after I got my back brace. So I was just laying, I had to take the mattress off my bed and just lay on the box spring because the mattress was just not comfortable for me. And I'm just laying there and I have my eyes open and it's pitch black. Yeah. And all of a sudden I see someone walk through my room and I don't know who it was. And I start screaming bloody murder because it was just everything in me was like, that is not normal.
Alien.
And they come running down the hallway and they turn on the light and no one's there.
Because it was an alien.
No, I don't think it was an alien. No.
They went, beam me up, Scotty.
No. But I swear to God, it was a thing. And even before that, I had lots of like nightmares and awful time sleeping. I can't sleep very well at all. So I get like tiny little bursts of sleep.
Yeah.
And that usually can kind of sustain me even as a mom where you're like really, really tired and you just kind of catnap it off and on all day long. That's the only way I can sleep.
Well, but you also have like a lot of shame around sleeping in general because whenever you like fall asleep when it's not bedtime, I go, "Hey, you sleeping? Are you okay?" And you go, "No, I just resting my eyes." I would never sleep ever. Just resting my eyes. I'm like, "Your eyes were fully closed and you were snoring." No, I wasn't.
Snore.
No, I wasn't.
I don't snore.
I don't snore.
I don't snore.
You don't poop either, but
I just shut it.
We all know that's not true. All right. So this week we are talking about.
Oh, we got to do the quote first, babe.
Oh, the quote.
You always forget the quote, man.
Okay. I met the quote of the week down at the creek. We jumped on my pontoon boat and drank a 6-pack of Pabst Blue Ribbon. Right?
Sure. That's good. Quote of the week.
Kissing babes on the river Styx. Jump in my
Did you say the river Styx? So we've like died and we're on the pontoon boat on the river of Styx?
I so badly want to write like a country song that has some sort of like Greek or like Egyptian mythology to it.
Awesome. Okay.
I paid the ferryman with my 2 coins. Just something like that.
With my 2 bits, because that's 2 quarters.
Oh.
Let's see. Quote of the week. Quote, "Nay, Father, some of us have been killing giants today and aren't in the mood to have a tea party." End quote. Oh. Thor, God of Thunder.
Oh, yes.
A comic book of the same name, Ages of Thunder.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know what's interesting about Thor is before Thor Ragnarok, I literally could give 2 shits about that character.
Thor himself?
Yeah, and he wasn't like, I mean, he had his own book, right? His own comic book, and so did Iron Man, and so did Captain America, but those comics weren't popular in the same way that like Superman and Batman are popular, right? They're more secondary characters. But Marvel's most popular characters, the X-Men, Spider-Man, and what's the other one? Fantastic Four, they sold the rights to those to other companies. And so when they decided to start making movies, they didn't have their most popular characters available to them.
Yeah.
They were owned by other companies. So then they're like, oh, well, who's in our B team? But now they've taken those characters. Now, granted, I loved Iron Man before the movies, right? So that was an exception, but I didn't give a shit about Captain America. I didn't care anything at all about Thor. Those characters just didn't resonate with me.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of like Nazi Germany, alternate history type stories, like World War II-ish. Mm-hmm. So Captain America was just never appealing to me.
Yeah.
And then Thor, I always just felt like Thor was just, they're like, oh, well, we have all of this, unlicensed, uncopyrighted mythology. We could just make characters around that. Let's just take all of Viking mythology and make it into a comic book, right?
Quote unquote mythology.
Right.
Viking stories.
Yeah, but they also didn't make it cool. But now, after the movies, Thor Ragnarok's one of my favorite Marvel movies.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for Thor Love and Thunder.
Yes.
But when they announced the original Thor and Chris Hemsworth came out with those blonde eyebrows, I was like, oh, come on. Who even wants to watch that? And I still don't really like Captain America that much, but I love Chris Evans as Captain America.
Yeah, he did a really good job.
Yeah, I think he did an excellent job as Captain America. And now, spoilers, if you haven't watched The Winter Soldier, but I think everybody knew this was coming from the end of Endgame, Sam Wilson is going to be Captain America. And that happened in the comic books too. And I think that's pretty fucking rad.
I still have to watch that because I haven't seen it yet.
Again, not that interested in that show, but
maybe
I hear good things. So maybe it'll be good to watch.
You should watch it at lunchtimes.
Yeah. And so, growing up, I was a Iron Man, Wolverine, Moon Knight fan, right? Like,
yeah.
I wasn't really into Spider-Man or the Fantastic Four. My dad loved Fantastic Four, but I think a lot of people his generation liked the Fantastic Four. That was the big comic, right? It had a little bit of something for everybody, right?
Right.
I am curious to see what they're going to do with the Fantastic Four because they did announce that they're going to do a Fantastic Four movie.
Oh, yeah?
But I'm also very curious what they're going to do with the X-Men because I think what they did with Spider-Man has been really good so far.
Yeah.
Even though
I
they
agree.
retconned Aunt May to be much younger.
Which is kind of weird.
Yeah, it's still pretty good stuff, though. All right, related to this thing of the week, we're going to talk about Invincible again.
Yes.
Episodes
5 and 6.
5 and 6.
Yep.
And this is Invincible Part 3.
Oh, yeah.
Of
That's
the podcast.
what it is. Yep. Part 3.
And I'm going to try to swing the pendulum a little bit back. The first time I think I was too mansplaining about comic books. The second time I pulled back way too far. So this time I'm just going to try to have a nice conversation with you about it. But I'm still going to let you lead it because you take really good notes. And I don't remember most of it because I was falling asleep.
So when I was younger, yes, exactly. When I was younger, I went to a kind of a crappy elementary school and junior high, and they didn't teach us how to take notes. They didn't give a lecture and then would depend on us to take notes and then test on that or whatever. They just handed out. There was like very worksheet heavy. And was like, they would pull down a map and they would give us worksheets and they'd go, okay, go ahead. And it's very independent study wise, but not note taking. So when I switched schools, because I felt like I wasn't getting nearly the kind of high school preparation that I needed, I switched schools. And so that school taught us in 8th grade, kind of taught us and taught me how to take proper notes. Not proper, but note taking. And so I've always really badly depending on my words and my understanding of what's happening. So yeah, I take notes. And so thank you for saying that they're good because I have tried really hard. It's like what's the, not a digital clock, but what's it called? An analog clock?
A regular clock, yeah.
A regular clock with the hands.
Oh, yes.
Never knew how to do that until almost 9th grade. and all the classrooms in high school had that clock with the 2 different hands, and then the second hand didn't know how to.
Because they didn't teach you?
No, I never really learned it, and there was a lot of like, again, I was a special ed kid, or at least they put me with the special ed class.
You're not a special ed kid, but they put you there.
I really didn't learn the proper way to do it, so I kind of taught myself how to do it, and so now that's all I use. For the most part, so that I can keep that handy. And then I taught our boys and stuff, because I don't know what it is. I just don't like being shamed about not knowing something.
Well, that is part of...
So I overcompensate, I think, maybe.
So just to derail us a little bit further,
Sorry.
That's part of, I think, the reason that I don't like traditional public schooling is because if you don't fall within their average prescribed learnability, then they mark you as either one way or another as a special needs person, right? If you like, for you don't have a learning disability, but you like to take things slower than normal people.
Yeah, because I want to get it right.
Right. You don't want to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Whereas I absorb things so quickly, and then I become a distraction in the classroom because everybody else is moving slower, right? So then we both got marked as kids, and they put me in an what is it, ADHD? ADHD, right? Into a group for that. And, I was in that for like a week and a half, and then the teacher came back and said, he doesn't have ADHD. He's just smarter than everybody else.
Yeah, but still, that can be also harmful.
It is harmful because then it marks you.
Yeah.
Right? I got made fun of a ton in school for being a smart kid, so I started to like do worse in school and get bad grades.
Makes you not want to try as hard.
Right.
There's no way in hell that you were a C student.
Yes, I was.
I know, but you did C work.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You were not a C student. Like, that shouldn't have been
No,
the
I
case.
could have very easily been a straight A student.
Yeah.
But why? I was being made fun of for being smart. And so what I
Exactly.
did is I pulled back and thought, okay, well, if I just get bad grades, people can't tell me I'm too smart.
Yeah.
And then I started to play the role of like the big dumb animal, everybody.
Yeah. Right. It's all about camouflage. Yeah. And so then I tried to hide as much as I possibly. I just wanted to disappear.
Yeah.
In high school, I did my work. I turned in my stuff on time, all the time. Except for biology, I got a C, but everything else I crushed because I just didn't want to be the stupid one. And so I just disappeared and I did my work, and that was it. I didn't make a fuss about anything except for biology. Yeah. And I don't know if he's still kicking, but he was a rude teacher and I don't like him.
Yeah. I think that we like to categorize people so much in this country, right? And so it's like, instead of saying, okay, what is the actual needs of this person?
Yeah, what's the individual?
We say, oh, special needs because you don't fit the mold of the rest of us.
Yeah.
Right?
It's disappointing.
It's super disappointing, right? And that's why there's so much, trauma and drama around like just the gender conversation, right?
It is simple.
Because we say, oh, nope, you have a penis, you are a boy, you have a vagina, you are a girl. Fuck you. That's not the full story.
Right.
You're categorizing us for simplicity's sake, but you're not allowing us to actually express who we really truly are. Right?
Yeah. And I'm a grown person and I still feel like I have to explain myself.
Yeah.
Which I shouldn't.
You don't have to.
But I feel like I do.
You don't have to. Unless I catch you with like like in a weird compromising position, like you've got a jar of peanut butter and a spatula, and then and you're just standing there in like overalls with nothing else, and you have peanut butter all over your forehead, then I'd be like, I think maybe I deserve an explanation here. And if you said, no,
want
you
some
don't.
peanut butter?
No, if you said, no, you don't, I'd be like, okay, but I'm going to want to know one day. I'm going to let it go now, but I feel like I want to know.
I keep it pretty together. Like I say, I try to hide stuff. So I have specific particulars. I don't know. I probably
if I'm being completely honest with you, which I tend to do and get myself in trouble.
You always do. Even to a...
It bothers me a little bit that you hide from me too, right? Like you hide away some of yours because you think I'm going to judge you.
Well, no, it's just because I can't keep up with you. Like with
that's not
anything.
true.
No, it's true.
No, you surpass me in a lot of ways.
No. I can't. I just feel like I can't keep up. So I just try to go, it's cool, whatever. I'll just stay down here.
Very few people can keep up with the speed at which I move, right? So not physically, but mentally.
It's a little daunting.
But it doesn't mean you don't surpass me in all other kinds of ways. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Being intelligent has nothing to do with all of the other important parts of being human, right? It just means that, I'm harder to trick, right?
Yeah.
But you're faster than me. You can run faster than me easily, right? You can fit through smaller doorways. I'm just saying, like, there's all kinds of things, right? You have a quicker wit than I do. Like, you come up with stuff faster than I do in terms of like funny stuff to say.
I can recall movie quotes faster than you. That's about it. And
but
you go, what?
But you also come up with like some really gems for t-shirts, like chef's kiss. Uh-oh, I bumped the mic. Part of it for me is that I realized, I think fairly young, like 14 or 15, I was working with my dad and he was teaching me something, of floors. And I said, yeah, I think I could do this for a living. And he scolded me. He said, like, no, you're not going to do this for a living. You don't want to do this for a living. This is terrible. This is a bad job. You don't want this job. And so I thought about that for a little while. And then the next time I was working with him, he taught me another thing and I caught it really quickly. And instead of thinking, oh, I could do this job, I thought I can do anything.
Yeah.
I can do anything I want to do. I can learn anything I want.
Yeah.
And it unlocks something in my brain. And so now I don't ever have a problem learning something new. Right. And you don't have to, I'm not like Carl, our old boss at KFC where we met, said to me, you know why I like you? I was like, no. He's all, because I only got to tell you shit once. That's a pretty good impression of him.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, why would you have to tell me more than once? He's like, I got to tell all these other kids more than once.
I don't think he had to tell me more than once.
He wasn't talking about you. He was talking about the other guys in the back.
All right.
Anyways, he loved you. He loved you so much. I think he was really proud of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
All right, getting on to.
All right, sorry. That was a long-winded thing.
No, it's good.
Sorry.
This is the kind of stuff that this show is for, is to dig deeper and find out
I'm trying.
how we tick.
Yeah, I don't know.
Also, the more that, the more vulnerable and personal we are on this, the more endearing it becomes.
Endearing to my dumbness.
No, like what? No. What I mean, I don't mean it like it sounded very marketing, but like when I'm listening to a podcast, if I start to like or relate to the person I'm listening to. Yeah,
I'm not likable though.
Oh my God, shut up. You are the most likable person.
I don't have a history of being liked, so.
You have a history of, yes, you do. You have a very long history of being liked and not liking back.
No, not true. Not true.
Be a good neighbor. Stay over there. Okay. All right, here we go. Into Invincible, Part 3, Episodes 5 and 6. Thank you for tuning into the Lou and Me podcast. And we're back now.
New episodes every Thursday.
New episodes on Thursdays.
Follow us on Instagram at Lou and Me Podcast. And find us somewhere on Spotify.
Yeah, and we're on Spotify somewhere.
Okay. All right, so Season 5.
Season 5? Did you go into a time machine, bro?
Stop saying that's what I hate. All right, Episode 5.
Yes.
It opens up at a factory at night. And a couple of dudes come out of the door and they're smoking. They start smoking.
Oh, they're not characters from the show. They're just
They're
extras.
just dudes.
They're extras.
And then another dude at the end of the alleyway unzips his sweatshirt.
Oh, dear.
And he becomes a rock man.
Oh, yeah. I know that guy.
Okay. And then the dudes at the door they drop their cigarettes and they start shooting him. And then he's throwing them and throwing crates. And then he gets into the building and he's throwing cars and tractors and all sorts of craziness ensues.
Right.
And then he says, he holds one guy up in the air and he goes, "Tell Lou not to tread on our turf." And then he breaks his neck. And then he turns around and there's like a young man there, like almost a kid. He's like, "That message was for you."
Did that scare you when he said, "Tell Lou"?
I assume it was a dude Lou and not a me Lou, so I wasn't. I was just like, ooh.
Lou as in L-O-U?
L-O-U. Yeah,
Hey,
that's...
Lou. Hey, Lou, come here, man.
Yeah.
I gotta talk to you for a second, Lou.
Then it goes to our hero, Mark, who tries to stop a collapsing building, but then he's late to his job, his fast food job, which is just kind of going to be a theme for the next couple episodes. It's like how to balance that whole,
Yeah, we're in the Spider-Man phase. He's got his powers, and he's still going to high school and trying to work a job.
Yeah,
trying to kind of balance. Yeah, he's got to figure out what everything's going on. Like, there's a lot of, I think, parallels to Spider-Man. The Spider-Man mythos, right?
Yeah, it's like any young person too.
Right.
Right. It's kind of relatable to being young and having to like balance all these big, huge feeling responsibilities.
Well, it's kind of like, almost might be able to say it's like like a metaphor for puberty even.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that feeling of, you're going from being just a carefree child basically to starting to have kind of more adult responsibilities and desires and thoughts and processes.
And it gets frustrating and scary and all right. And so then the rock dude, he...
Is that Korg?
No.
Oh.
The rock dude, he hangs a dude off a building, but stops because he sees a picture of the guy's daughter. And then he just he puts him down and he walks away.
Right.
And then back to Mark. And Mark and Nolan, Omni-Man, are training again. And they're training, but like how to make bad guys talk. And so once again, Nolan hangs a dude off a building or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it switches to Mark having attendance issues at school. Like he always has to leave or he's late or whatever. And his school is noticing.
Yeah, I felt like this episode was a little...
back and forth jumpy too.
Yeah, I think it was trying to make it feel hectic, like your life can when you've got a lot of irons in the fire. Like you're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah. And at some point, these two are going to cross paths too, which is kind of obvious. All right. And so then the rock dude.
Oh, the rock dude and Mark?
Yeah.
Yes.
The rock dude breaks into some facility and takes a microchip of some kind.
He's just all kinds of robberies.
Yeah, he's obviously like an errand boy for someone, right? And then Mark is trying to balance girlfriend, school, and a job and being a superhero on top of it all. And
on top of it all.
And then he's trying to make like the parents proud on both sides.
Right.
And they're kind of opposites.
Yeah.
Feeling. Okay, and then Rock Guy brings the microchip and he talks about something about paying off his debt to some masked guy who inserts the chip into his mask or his helmet of some kind. And then, but the way this guy talks, he's auto-tuned. The mask
guy?
The
mask
dude.
Guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the mask is echoing his voice. Yeah.
But the mask dude is like, he's like, no, I'm not letting you out of working for me. And, you may have paid your debt, but you'll be back and blah, blah, blah. He's being...
Yeah, so this is the revelation of the guy who's controlling or ordering around the rock guy. Have we learned his name?
Yes, we know his name. But in the beginning, it's kind of like we don't know who these people are, and then they'll be identified.
Well, but wasn't that rock guy in one of the earlier episodes too, when Mark first got his powers and he was helping some people rob a bank?
Yes, yeah. And Mark references that too.
Right.
So Mark is stopping an asteroid and his dad is right there with him as usual. And he says, now just throw it back into space. Like it's that simple and easy. And
still more training.
Yeah. Still more like silly training. And he has to leave training to go to Amber's for dinner with her mom, but he ends up being 2 hours late, and she's pissed.
Yeah.
Amber is pissed. She's getting sick of his lateness and canceling and dumb excuses, and he almost tells her he's invincible. He almost does. And then it goes back to Rock Dude, and he goes home and he brings his little girl ice cream, and his wife knows that he's not out, like he hasn't been released from his debt or whatever.
So he's a family man. So that scene where he stopped
throwing that guy.
Interesting.
It's because that guy had a daughter.
Family, yeah.
And then his little girl asks him if he's a good guy.
Oh.
And that is just, isn't that like the craziest thing for a little girl to ask their daddy?
Yeah, it's such a different experience having a daughter versus having sons when they're young like that, right? Like, all of the kids were adorable and said cute things, but sometimes she just melts my heart, right? She'll just be like, Daddy, I love you so much. And I'm like, I love you so much too. Like,
and
it's like so tender, right?
It is different. It is quite different, and I'm okay with the dynamic that someday she will replace me as the woman of the family. I feel like there's that one thing with female offspring is that they try to compete with the mother.
Oh, is that a thing? I don't.
Yes.
No, that's not gonna happen. I'll put it right in her place. I'll be like,
no,
you be nice to your mother.
I think that's one thing that has to happen, and I'm okay with stepping aside and letting her be that.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Okay, well, I'll figure it out. So then it shows us that Deborah is cold in her closet. Like she can blow out. Her air looks, she's cold. You can tell.
Oh, inside the closet.
Inside her closet.
Yeah, because of Damien Darkblood, right?
And she finds Darkblood's memo book and reads through it.
Yeah.
And remembers the costume freak out that Nolan has at the hospital.
Oh, yeah,
before
that's right.
he was released after slaughtering the Guardians.
Right, he wanted his costume back.
He was very, very protective of where his costume was and that he wanted it back now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then Adam Eve, it shows her with her parents, which we haven't seen before. And they don't want her breaking up with her boyfriend, Rex. But she's like, look, this is what's going to happen. You guys stop it. And her dad's like getting in her face and being like, you got to stop with all this superpower bullshit.
Yeah, her parents aren't very cool.
Yeah, and she's like, oh my gosh, shut up.
Not chill. Her parents are not chill.
And then it goes back to Mark, and he seems happy. He's flying around. He's not really in training at the moment, it doesn't seem.
Right.
And so he's just kind of flying around and being a young guy.
Being a young man.
Yeah.
Young man.
And he dun 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 dun. And he sees his name painted on the top of a building. So he stops and he sees Rock Dude, and he remembers he stopped him from robbing a bank once.
Right.
And Rock Dude, who says his name is Titan, works for Machine Head. And they didn't contact me to name any of these characters, so I'm going by what they said.
This is something that I find so charming about this comic book is that all of the names sound like he didn't try.
Yeah.
But for a fact that they're very purposefully named these things because it's satire of the whole genre, right?
Yeah.
So I love it. I just love those names.
Well, it's kind of ridiculous, but okay.
Doc Seismic. I mean, that's it.
Fast Guy.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not his name.
Red Rush.
Red Rush.
Yeah. They're all just, I don't know. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful stuff.
Anyway, so now Titan is the rock guy, and he works for Machine Head.
Yes.
Okay. Who sounds auto-toned when he talks. So he's like, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And so Titan accuses Mark, Invincible, of not seeing the truth about crime and who the real bad guys are.
Yeah. That's how things happen sometimes, though.
Yeah. It's not just about like, some big important dude throwing an asteroid, right? It's mostly, there's crime, and then there's people who take advantage of other people. And
it's again, like we were talking earlier, we like to categorize things into neat piles, but the world is much more nuanced and gray than it is just black and white, right? Like, so it's really hard for you to say, oh, he's a good guy or he's a bad guy, because there's these shades of gray to everybody, right?
Yeah. And it's very like personally based. Like
Right.
if you're a certain color and you live in a certain neighborhood, you're not going to see the same things
Right.
as someone else who's a different color or a different neighborhood.
Yep.
And so Titan wants Invincible to help him bring down Machine Head. He's sick of working for this dude. He paid his debt. He just wants out.
So he's trying to get Invincible to help him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Mark talks to his mom and dad, which is what young people do. They go to their mom and dad and they're like, what do I do? This is a dilemma. What do I do?
That's what our young people do, but I don't think that's what most young people do. When I had dilemmas as a child, I didn't go straight to my parents. I tried to work them out on my own, and then go to them when I couldn't or when it failed or fucked up.
Our parents were too busy working and stuff for us.
We were latchkey kids.
Yeah. So I just swore a lot, and I
mean, my mom was home
fought my own battles.
For periods of time, like when I was really young, and then again, like junior high, I think. But for the majority of my childhood, she was working too. Both my dad and my mom were working. So I would come home to an empty house most of the time.
Yeah, me too. All right. And so then Nolan, his dad, says Titan is using him and he shouldn't waste his time with it. He's like, because he knows things that Mark doesn't. Right? He can see his own crappy ass plan for Mark. But Deborah says helping someone is never weak. And then her and Nolan get into a big old fight later on about it.
Right.
Because Nolan wants him to be tough and this big, Viltrumite guy and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So then it shows the new Guardians are hanging out and drinking after a mission, and which they say was a success, but Black Samson rips into all of them about not fighting like a team. It's all just individual kind of attack, not like they're a team.
Yeah. No, they aren't really finding their groove at this point.
Yeah. And then it shows Amber and Eve talking, and Amber might know that Eve is a super, but that's not completely clear.
No.
Then it's back to Titan, and he gives Invincible all the details about Machine Head's building and security and all that. And so they're planning on helping put an end to Machine Head. Putting
an end to the bad guy. Machine Head is kind of similar to like Kingpin from Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's what I get too. Yeah. Daredevil, Kingpin.
Like he's kind of an amalgamation of several different bad guys, right?
Yeah.
Like he's got a little Doctor Doom, little Kingpin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably a little Joker going on.
Well,
because he's got minions and he's...
Yeah.
He's got a grand scheme.
Well, that's the whole point of a villain, is have a scheme and a monologue.
and minions, right?
Yeah, minions that look and dress like them.
Yeah. So we watched this with subtitles on.
Right.
And it has not ever said who these big blue dudes were until... except for in the subtitles, which just recently clicked for me.
Right.
So I know this is episode 5, but they're not just the big blue dudes. They're the Mauler twins.
Well, why didn't you ask me?
Well, because I'm tired of it. And so the Mauler twins, they can copy themselves, but then they fight over who's the original.
Right.
But
they purposely clone themselves in a way that they neither remembers who the original is.
Yeah.
But at this point, neither one of them could possibly be the original, right? Yeah.
And so if we remember back, Robot helped one of them escape prison.
Yes.
And then has been kind of working behind the scenes with them to do something. We don't know exactly yet.
Yeah.
But the big blue dudes, the Mauler twins, wake up to a new clone being done. And then they link their minds together, right? And then they immediately start talking crap to each other about who's the original.
Yeah, that's their whole modus.
Yeah. So Robot shows up.
Right.
And he fights a little bit with them. And he says...
Pew, pew, punchy punch.
Yeah. And then he says he needs their expertise in tissue growth.
Yikes. That's gross.
And we're like, ew, gross. What's happening?
Yeah.
And so Deborah back to Deborah. She sets Nolan out to pick up some things from Rome and Provence.
That's convenient.
Yeah, like go fly to Rome for me and pick up this whatever.
Yeah, I wish I could fly. Like if you were like, I really want a hamburger, I'd be like, I'll go.
Yeah, can you go get me some Southern V? That would be nice.
And then I come back. You're like, you were only gone 2 minutes. I'm like, I fly fast, baby.
But you made me an Impossible Burger today. That was amazing.
Oh, did you like it?
Absolutely.
I like doing that. I like giving you food.
I know. You're amazing. I love you.
I love you too.
Okay, it's not over yet though, folks, because she times him about how long he will be gone, and she checks the whole house for his outfit, his super suit, if you will. And we're like, what's happening? Why is that? And I think she finally finds it, but I think Nolan sees her or suspects something or something's happening there.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to Titan and Mark, and they go in to grab Machine Head, but he's expecting it, of course. And the chip in his head helped expect it somehow.
The chip in Machine Head's head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He paid for other bad super people to help. Like he brought in other super villains.
Right, yes.
To like help kick both their asses.
Yeah, I forgot about that scene.
Yeah. And then back to Amber and Eve are out at the community center, and they're waiting for Mark to show up, but he's getting the crap kicked out of him by these Machine Head and these other supervillains. And then he rages and goes after Tiger Guy. I don't know who Tiger Guy is.
Oh yeah, so
who's Tiger Guy?
He's not a tiger, he's a lion. And
he's a white lion?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, his name is Battle Lion.
Okay. Sorry.
They haven't revealed in the show his backstory, so I don't want to give that away for you. But he's from outer space. Okay, I'll give you that.
I'll call him Tiger Guy.
Yeah.
And so
it's Battle Lion. I'm almost 100% positive.
Battle Lion.
Yeah.
Okay. I won't remember. So the Guardians show up to this battle royale that's going on, and they're saying that they got an anonymous call, but we suspect it's Nolan because he knows everything right now. He's always hovering somewhere, and there's lots of fighting and ass kicking, and
he's starting to act more and more suspect, right?
Yeah. And Battle Lion, he wins. He like just crushes everybody and kicks everyone's ass. So
he's a tough opponent.
Yeah. Black Samson rallies, but he gets his arm crunched by this lion dude. And then the lion dude also smashes Monster Girl.
We should be very clear that this scene is horrific.
It's horrifically bloody and crunchy, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then he says something that he says no honor in killing insects.
Yep.
And then he like makes a portal and leaves.
Yeah.
And then Titan leaves too, and he's like, sorry, Mark, I got other things to do. Like he has to go be with his family or protect his family or something like that. So he leaves Mark laying there bloody and beaten. So Mark is bloody and beaten, Monster Girl is bloody and beaten, and Black Samson is bloody and beaten.
Black Samson's dead.
Is he? But
isn't Black Samson the character who got his skull crushed by Battle Lion before he went into the portal?
Oh boy, I don't know. But spoiler, he does make it, so...
Oh, well, who got their skull crushed? Somebody. Oh boy. Battle Lion crushed somebody's skull. I can't remember now. I thought it was Black Samson.
I don't remember now. Shoot. So then Cecil takes Machine Head into custody and tries to save the Mark and Monster Girl and Black Samson.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it shows Titan is now in a suit and his family comes up the elevator in the same building that Machine Head was in.
Yep.
And then the snivelly guy that was on Machine Head's right arm was a guy called Isotope, and he calls Titan boss.
Yeah.
It's like Titan took over Machine Head's.
Yeah, that's exactly
turf.
what happened.
And this guy Isotope says, I don't know what you told that kid to get him on your side, and then credits.
Yep. Yeah.
So all of that just for that, I don't know. It's messed up.
I think it's a good episode. I like
There's an after credit scene.
I feel like they're introducing Battle Lion fast. The whole thing feels accelerated to me, but I think it's probably because they didn't know if they were going to get more seasons.
Yeah.
But now they've gotten 2 more seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an after credit scene?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
So it shows a dude getting into a secured elevator, talking to a scientist, and saying Viltrumite blood just won't die no matter what they try.
Yeah.
So they've taken some of Invincible or Mark's blood, and they're trying to kill it, basically.
Right.
Like infecting
they're
it.
Testing it.
Yeah, they're testing it, making all these tests, and it just won't die.
Yeah. They're extremely powerful beings.
Not good.
No, it's not good. It's not a good
Because
thing.
it only assumes that they're trying to either stop Nolan or Invincible or both.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think that we should break this episode up
Oh boy.
into episodes 5 and 6.
Okie dokie.
Because we are at an hour now because we talked so much in the beginning.
Oops.
So we can stop it here and then do another part for the episode 6.
Okay.
And then try to fit 7 and 8 into another.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So this episode was crazy.
So this episode was brought to you by Invincible episode 5.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too.
The Lou and Me podcast is a Matthias production. The song is No Carpets by the New Forevers. Produced and edited by Moose. Hosted by Lou and me.
Thanks for listening.